So let's have a look at some of the things that I found around my house that are going to help me create this magical world. Well, here's a cereal box. I've already cut it in half. So if you don't have a shoebox, you can use this as your diorama. The foreground and the background there. And here's my shoebox. This is what I'm going to use for my diorama. Inside is the packaging that came with it. I'm trying to think of some ideas already. Maybe clouds can be made with that. Can build up mountains with this somehow. A couple of straws came with it as well. I'm not sure what they were for, but I'm already getting a few ideas of what to do with those. From my recycling box, I always wash and clean things before I put them in the recycling box, but I've given them a second wash to make sure they're really clean, because these are milk bottle tops and we don't want them smelling of stale milk. So they've been washed. Here's a mushroom planet. There we go. That could be a boat maybe, or a mountain top. Again, a few ideas. An egg box. Again, trying to think of the texture, something that could be created in my magical world. Okay, so that's going to be the background of the diorama, and I know how hard it is to draw and colour on brown card. So what I've got here is the back of a box, and I'm going to cut this out to fit to create a white background. So now I can start thinking about what my background is going to look like. I found an old magazine of mine, a walking magazine. This is a mountain that I climbed a few years ago in the Lake District. So I'm using that to copy from. Now I've drawn the outline. You can see the sun is in the corner there, and here is the mountain range I copied off. So I'm going to be colouring that in using lots of different techniques. Okay, now for the sun, I'm going to have a really strong yellow sun there. And if you notice, I'm keeping the direction of my crayon at the same angle. I'm not going this way and then going that way and then going this way. That tends to look really scruffy. Okay, it's all going in the same way and in that kind of circle of the sun. Okay, so I've got a nice, strong, solid sun there. And now I kind of want to lighter, much lighter now, create this kind of haze that we see on a sunny day. So there we go. You can see now I spent a little bit of time colouring the sky, pressing on very gently here and getting darker and darker and stronger as I went along, and then going over these points again to get a nice deep thick colour on one side and a much lighter, more hazy colour on the other, to try and give this effect of the sun sweeping across. Now if the sun is shining from here, then the shadow, the bits that are not of the sun, are going to be on this side in the dark. And you can see here on the magazine, I can see the shadows of the people are on this side, and you can see the shadow of the mountain is all on this side. So I'm going to try now to create these shadowy bits in my mountain. And there we go. You can see I've just shaded in around here to create a kind of dark side to the mountain that would be in shadow. Okay, so I've added a little bit of lighter grey there onto the mountains. Some green, again pressing on a little bit harder where these shadowy bits are, but actually I just very lightly been shading along in there. And there we go. So that lighter greens really work well with the darker green. Okay, I've done two things now. For the floor, I've used the packing paper that came with the trainers. And I think that looks really good because the floor's never just completely flat when you're going out in the wild. But what I've also decided to do is cut that flat so it goes back. And I think that's opened up the diorama quite nicely. Now, I'm also thinking if I put this in the corner, is it going to look like the mountains now are climbing up? Yeah, maybe so. With a bit of colour in there, that might just work. I decided to create some small hills to put in the foreground, and now it's creating a 3D effect there in the diorama. Is this going to work? Are they going to balance? There we've got my mountains at the front, or my hills at the front there. Needs a little bit of work. But yeah, you can see that. If I start to colour this in now or paint it, it's going to look good. Some foil for a river, possibly. Lots and lots of ideas. Okay, so one last thing I'm going to show you that can help is how to create a freestanding tree. Right, so what I'm going to do is to create a very simple looking tree. There we go. And now I'm going to cut it out. Right, once I've done that, I'm going to draw around it to make a more or less identical looking tree. There we go. And then I'm going to cut that out too. So ask an adult to help if you're not 100% confident. And there we have our two trees. Now this is the magic bit. We cut into one about halfway, and then we cut into the other about halfway. Now it might take a little bit of moving, but there we go. I thought I was going to have a much harder job there, but they've actually gone together straight away. So this is what the tree looks like from the front, and we can put it into our diorama. There we go. Okay, the great thing about drawing the background on a different piece of card means you can change it. So here I've created a complete winter scene. You can see we've got some trees here, and yeah, all the leaves are fallen. Well, still there's a few dropping off, but it's all a very icy cold place there. Adding a little few last bits of detail to my tree. Just a little bit of bark in there. Maybe going to do a kind of knot on that one. Yeah, and I've done this just by creating a branch and splitting that branch in two, and then splitting those branches in two till we get to the little twigs on the end. Okay, breaking a branch in two, and then breaking in two, and then breaking in two again until you get down to these little tiny twigs. And now we've got sharp mountains in the background, and these mountains are snowy capped. The sun is much lighter, and I've just done a very light blue sky. I've done some trees much smaller so they look further away in the distance to try and give a little bit of perspective. And tiny bits of green just peeking through. Okay, so let's have a look what that looks like in our diorama. So here we have our frosty scene, our two adventurers in our diorama, and the new background is making it look much more frosty. We've got a freestanding tree is still there, but look at this, a secret red door. Where is that going to lead to? Who knows? That was from a Christmas card that I found, but it has made now a magical door, maybe to some different strange world. That's up for you and your imagination to decide. Okay, well, have a try the dioramas and have fun, and I'm sure you'll come up with lots more ideas to add to them.